I love Asian stores. Asian stores have got some of the best things in them. These are shiitake mushrooms. These are dried, they are whole, and these are sliced shiitake. I buy them both because I find use for them both. Tonight, rather than slicing them, I'm going to use the pre-slice. The thing you have to watch about these is the stem is always really tough. So when you're picking them out, get rid of the stem and just put them in a container, about as many as you're going to need, and keep in mind that they are going to expand. That's my mushrooms for tonight. Obviously, you're going to need to rehydrate these. One of the things I like about the sliced ones is they rehydrate a lot quicker. It's been like a couple minutes is all, and these are already really close to being ready. Give them about another half hour or so, they'll be completely ready. You can use any sort of beef for this dish. I prefer flank steak. As you can see, the grain runs a long way, so when I cut it, you cut against the grain, and it's a lot nicer piece of meat. This is about 12 ounces. 12 ounces to a pound is about right for two people. The package I have in the freezer thawing out, so or had in the freezer, I should say. So as soon as this is a little more thaw, I will start slicing it. I won't wait till it's completely thawed. It's a lot easier to slice when it's semi-frozen. So as you can see, I've got my beef cut up. It's cut up into, eighth of an inch, maybe 3/16. Really nice looking meat. So my beef is thawed out completely now, and now I'm going to do a marinade, and it's a real light marinade, and it's light because of the fact it's going to sit in there for a few hours. The first item here is about 1/16 of a teaspoon of baking soda. That will make the flank steak a little more tender. Even though this is well marbled, it will probably be very tender. Also an egg white, about a tablespoon of Shoshing wine, 2 tablespoons of water. You can also use 3 tablespoons of water and omit the egg white. I prefer the egg white though, it gives it kind of a silkiness. Almost forgot, I also need a teaspoon of cornstarch. So I've mixed all of my marinated ingredients together so that they'll coat the meat nicely. You got to get in here with your hands and just make sure every piece of meat gets a little bit of that marinade. No salt in this one. If it was going to be a fast marinade, I would have put a little soy sauce in it. But because this is going to be about a 5-hour marinade, I opted to keep the salt out so the meat doesn't get tough. A little water, a little egg white will make it moist. The baking soda will make it a little more tender, and the Shoshing wine will flavor it a little bit. The cornstarch will make it nice and silky. So I'm going to get done putting all these pieces here into the marinade, and then I'm going to cover it with saran wrap. And toward the end of the day, I'm going to pull it back out and cook it up. So now it's time to harvest my beautiful Oregon snow peas. Sugar peas, and there's quite a few of them here, so I shouldn't have a problem getting enough for this meal. Well, I ended up with exactly 3 ounces. So I'm about a half hour away from cooking this, and the meat has absorbed all the nice things that I put in the marinade, but the one thing that was lacking was the salt, and because I'm only a half hour away, it's time to add that. Soy sauce is the best way to do it. Not the only way, but in my opinion, it's the best way. And there's lots of choices. These are only just a handful of what you have. This is kind of like the store-bought stuff. It's I call it the store shelf soy sauce. The light soy sauce, this is not to be confused with low sodium soy sauce. This is actually higher sodium, but it's light in color. So that's really good if you want to add a lot of salt. Mushroom soy sauce is really good. As per its name, it tastes like mushrooms. There's just a hint. It's not overwhelming. And then you've got your Japanese soy sauce. All of them are good. For this, I'm just going to use just the regular soy sauce. It's a marinade, and it's the cheapest of the bunch, so there's no sense in using up these other ones. Now, as far as the mushrooms, I've already got those wrung out. Just put them in your hand and squeeze them. And don't throw the water away. Take a sieve and get all the little particles out of it and hold it back. If you're going to make a sauce that requires water, it's really good for that. In this case, because I've got, what was it, 12, 13 ounces of meat, one tablespoon of soy sauce is going to be hard to get it into all this meat. So I'm going to mix it with 1 tablespoon of water, and I'm going to use this mushroom water. So this is the next step, adding soy sauce to the meat marinade. Cooking tonight will be done on the outside gas cooker. My electric just doesn't get hot enough to stir fry. I went ahead and re-seasoned my 2 woks today. They're looking really good. So one last thing I need to grab out of the garden here is some green onions. For today's meal, we are going to pull up one of these handy dandy, this one ought to do it. Okay, these are those Jiffy pods. They work pretty good. Put 3 seeds in them and I'm getting 3 plants out of it. So these 3 little onions will be the topping at the end of the meal. And I'll keep these roots and go ahead and put them in a little bit of water. That way the greens will pop back up and I'll have some more of this. Won't have to hit my garden again because it's looking like I'm going to have to buy some of these before long. And so that's all you got to do. Just cover the roots mostly with water. Make sure the onions are above the water and put it in the windowsill, and it'll grow greens over and over again, I might add. But you do have to change the water every couple days, otherwise it starts getting a little nasty. Okay, back to the recipe. I need garlic for the wok and for the sauce. About a teaspoon, maybe a little bit more of each after it's been pressed. And I freeze my ginger. It stays good longer, and it's also a lot easier to grate. About the same amount when it's compacted down. About a teaspoon for each, the wok and the sauce. So this is my sauce recipe. 1 tablespoon of light or dark brown sugar packed. I used light. 1 teaspoon of pure sesame oil. 2 tablespoons of Hoisin sauce. 2 tablespoons of Shoshing wine, 1/2 teaspoon of dark soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of regular soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and some pepper. So mix it all up and taste it. And I do advise tasting it because you might not like it, and you might want to only use half of this or add to it, or you're the cook, you know. Now, because I only have 2 hands and I'm going to need both of them to cook this, I'm going to tell you how I'm going to cook it, and I'll show you a picture of it after I get done. First thing I do is get the wok really hot and add some oil to it, just regular corn or canola, or get your oil swished around and then turn the heat down just a little bit. Cook your beef to about 80%, 75% and pull it out. And then at that point, you'll add a little more oil if necessary. And you're going to throw your ginger and your garlic in there, and just for a few seconds, you just want to make it aromatic. It burns quickly, so you don't want that. And then you add your mushrooms and your peas and stir fry those a little bit. And then at that point, you're going to go ahead and add your beef back in, stir it around some more, and then you're going to add your sauce in. And I probably won't use all of this, half, 3/4 maybe. There's a lot of sauce there. I kind of did it by eyeball, like I do a lot of things. And I'm going to serve this with rice. After I get done cooking it, I'm going to put the green onion on top of it, and I'm going to serve it with rice. So stand by to see how she turns out. And here she is. The taste is absolutely amazing. This it's worth all the work. It's all prep work. The cooking takes seconds, probably less than 2 minutes, but it's so worth it. So anyway, that's what I'm having for dinner tonight, and this is the recipe.